If you can't seem to keep up with the Elon Musk Twitter takeover situation, well, you aren't alone. The confusion surrounding the events is understandable since there does seem to be some daily developments on the matter. Earlier this month, the world's richest man, Mr. Elon Musk, became the biggest individual shareholder of Twitter when he acquired a massive 9.2% stake of the company. He was offered a seat on the board, which he first accepted and then later on declined before offering to buy Twitter for $43 billion in cold hard cash. The Twitter board rejected his multi-billion offer, which prompted Musk to speak up about the unjustified financial compensations that the board takes home. He's since been jumping from one headline after another since the financial battle ensued. And if you want in on all of the details, then stay tuned for this video as we hash everything out for you. Welcome to YouVerse, the space where all things tech get the spotlight. If you're new here, then go ahead and subscribe for your dose of tech trend news, Tesla reviews, and other insights into the tech world. So, who are Twitter's board members? Some of them are more well-known than others, but as the financial battle of the Twitter takeover grabs all of the past week's headlines, let's get to know a few of the people in the mix. The board has 11 members. Some of them are Twitter's co-founder Jack Dorsey, Twitter's CEO Parag Agrawal, and Twitter's chairman Brad Taylor. Now, what's most surprising about the board members is that excluding co-founder Jack Dorsey, the other 10 board members only have a combined total stake of 0.12% of the company. Mr. Dorsey's share is currently at 2.25%, which makes the board's total combined share at 2.37%. Elon Musk has close to as much as 4 times the number of shares that the board members have collectively, about which Elon Musk tweeted, "Wow, with Jack departing, the Twitter board collectively almost owns no shares." Objectively, their economic interests are simply not aligned with the shareholders. It's true though, if the cumulative stake of the entire board is as tiny as it is, then would they even have the power to stop an investor from taking Twitter private? As expected, Musk has an answer to this, and it's one that would essentially cripple the board. The whole issue began in early April when it was announced that the shares that techpreneur Elon Musk started buying on a daily basis since January added up to a 9% stake in Twitter. This was reported in a regulatory filing with the SEC, and Musk was officially the app's biggest shareholder. Now's the part where you need to pay close attention because Elon Musk, as Twitter's largest shareholder, does not last very long. The day after the filing, Twitter offered Elon a seat on the board, which Parag Agrawal announced in a tweet. 3 days after that, it was shown in another regulatory filing with the SEC that the funds held by Vanguard Group were at 82.4 million shares, or 10.3% of the social media platform, bumping Mr. Musk out of the top spot. On April 9th, the day that the Tesla CEO was supposed to join the Twitter board, things took a turn and he declined the seat offer. Agrawal announced that same thing in a tweet the following day that Musk had indeed declined. On April 14th, just a few days later, the world's richest man stirred the news cycle another time when he made an offer to take Twitter private for a total of $43 billion in cash, or $54.20 per share. The first to reject this offer was Saudi Arabia's Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, who is also the chairman of the kingdom's holding company that owns a 5.2% stake in Twitter. On April 15th, Twitter announced that its board of directors would be employing a poison pill deterrent against Musk's hostile takeover bid. So what exactly is a poison pill? Well, it's basically a tactic that's employed to prevent an investor from taking over a company. To do this, shareholders of the same company are allowed to purchase more shares at a discounted price to weaken the interest or dilute the shares of the person trying to take over. In this case, Elon Musk on Twitter. By employing the poison pill strategy, the Twitter board has the right to increase the number of shares of the microblogging site. All shareholders, save for the one who intends to take over it, will have the right to buy the shares at a discount. Its main goal is to lower the share price of the company so that it becomes less attractive. In most cases, this strategy eventually results in the takeover becoming extremely cost-prohibitive for the investor who wants to take over. As you can imagine, sitting as a member of the board of any company, especially a large one, would have its perks. It's definitely a side gig that anyone would love to have. A good reputation and a small investment in the company are perhaps the only criteria, and it does come with a very appealing compensation and is quite the stress-free position. In Twitter's case, the funds that the board members have invested are trivial to say the least. Except for Jack Dorsey, the board members pretty much have no stake in the company. In fact, there is even one member on the Twitter board who does not own a single share. Now imagine how such a member with zero stake in the company can be entrusted with its decision-making. Twitter user Gary Black spoke up about this when he tweeted, "Let me point out something obvious. If Elon Musk takes Twitter private, the Twitter board members don't have jobs anymore, which pays them $250,000 to $300,000 per year for what is a nice part-time job. That could explain a lot." Naturally, Musk replied to that tweet saying, "Board salary will be zero if my bid succeeds, so that's $3 million a year saved right there." That is definitely a big deal for Twitter's shareholders. Musk also pointed out that the Twitter board members do not have the shareholders' best interest at heart. Looking back, one could easily verify that the microblogging site wasn't really performing well until Musk's filing on April 4th. Elon also shared his sentiments about how the economic interests of the board do not really align with those of the shareholders. While some may find Musk's accusations doubtful, they are actually echoed by Jack Dorsey himself. The Twitter co-founder, who is also one of its board members, does admit that the board has consistently been the dysfunction of the company. And who can blame him? Mr. Dorsey does not have the best working relationship with the board. In one tweet, he shared, "When I was fired in 2008 and made chair, the board took most of my shares away from me. I also gave up 1% of the company back to the employee pool in 2015, so I ended up with very little of the company." Twitter user iHadrami seems well versed in the story and says, "If we look into the history of Twitter board, it's intriguing as I was a witness on its early beginnings, mired in plots and coups, and particularly among Twitter's founding members. I wish if it could be made into a Hollywood thriller one day." Jack Dorsey is well known to be Twitter's co-founder, also made the very first tweet on the platform, which simply said, "Just setting up my Twitter." He since sold that first tweet to Sina Estavi for $2.9 million last year and donated the money to a charity that is fighting the coronavirus in Africa. That same tweet is now listed for sale as an NFT for $48 million. Besides being a co-founder, Dorsey also served as Twitter's CEO before Parag Agrawal. He now sits as a member of the board that Elon Musk has decided to punish as soon as he is able to successfully privatize the firm. As a member of many boards, Elon does not get paid a salary. He instead holds shares. Doesn't that make more sense? With more teeth in the game, a board member will surely act in the company's best interest. And if so, it is expected that the current members of the Twitter board will leave the company as soon as their pay is terminated. And what about Jack Dorsey, you might ask? It is speculated that Musk may spare him because he does have a stake in the company, and he also does share a few things in common with Mr. Musk. How do you expect this saga to end? As we speak, the Twitter board is reconsidering Musk's offer, which they initially rejected. This story is constantly evolving, and we'll make sure to keep you posted with the updates. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to get first dibs on everything tech and Elon Musk on this space.